Last panelist is Kathe Falls. She's with the Georgia Department of Economic Development. I've had the pleasure of knowing Kathe since the mid-90s, and she oversees the international trade team of the Georgia Department of Economic Development, which provides services that contribute to the expansion of Georgia's exports, the creation and retention of jobs attributable to exports, and the continued internationalization of Georgia's economy. And she was promoted to Director of International Trade in 2003, but she's been affiliated with the Georgia Department of Economic Development since 1984. And we were talking, there's obviously her bio has tons of things we could talk about, but there were two things that she's especially proud of. And one is we here in Georgia are fortunate to have the U.S. Export Assistance Center, which is one of the nation's first federal-state partnerships for export finance and marketing assistance. And Kathe worked on that for several years. And in 2007, the Georgia Department of Economic Development was honored with the Presidential E-Star Award, the nation's highest honor for excellence in exporting, for its leadership in establishing the USEAC partnership. And she visited the Oval Office and received the award from Secretary of Commerce Gutierrez and President Bush. And the other thing that she's especially proud of is she is the president of the State International Development Organization in Washington, D.C., which is called CEDO. And it's the premier U.S. organization dedicated to supporting state international trade agencies. It's the only national organization focused exclusively on state international trade development. It helps state international trade agencies better serve American exporters by sharing innovative ideas and resources, developing the skills of state trade professionals, advocating the interests of states in trade promotion, and multi-state collaboration. I know you've enjoyed being able to meet your counterparts in the other 50 states in this initiative. And tell us a bit about your work in helping Georgia companies go global, and maybe you can also add a little bit to what Alberto said about the work that the department's doing in Chile.
Perfect. Thank you, Mark. And thank you so much to TAG for the opportunity to speak tonight, and to UPS, not only for the use of the facility, but also for being such great corporate citizens. And I also want to thank you guys for hanging in there tonight. I know it's awful late, and thank you so much. I'll try to shorten my presentation up a fair amount. I'm a little bit different from what these other guys have talked about. They've talked about how you invest in their countries. They've talked about how you buy, how you can get source products. They've talked about some other concert functions. Well, with the Department of Economic Development's International Trade Team, I'm going to talk to you about services to help Georgia companies sell products overseas. So those companies who want to export. The services that we provide help you take a good company and make it a better company, because you're not only increasing your products, but you're also diversifying your markets, and you're gaining a competitive edge through new technologies and innovation and keeping abreast of competition around the world. Just to add a note before I forget it about what Alberto said about the trade mission to Chile. That was a phenomenal mission and a really good partnership between the three organizations. But my role in that was to help the Georgia companies that were there with individual business appointments with potential buyers of the products, whether that were representatives and so forth. That was in September. In December, Pro Chile opened up their office here, and there was a very nice event at the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce. One of the participants on that trip was on a panel, and he said if it wasn't for his exports, he would have laid off people. But because of his exports, he's been able to maintain full employment. That's the type of thing that really makes my job worthwhile, is when we hear testimonials like that. Now, that company had about 15, 18 employees. This is not a big company that we're talking about. I'll talk to you more about that in just a second. I wanted to first share with you a few statistics or facts about exporting, and then I'll tell you briefly what we do, and then I'll talk to you a few about some opportunities that you have to get involved, and I will do it all in about 5 minutes, try to keep us on schedule. Some facts that may surprise you. Nearly 9,000 companies in Georgia export. 9,000. A lot of times I'm out around the state talking to companies and communities, and there's a misperception that exporting is an issue for Atlanta or Savannah. So I went back to my office, took that as a challenge, and was able to identify at least 88% of the counties in our state have companies in them that are involved in international trade. If I had some really good air freight statistics, I'm sure that number would go way up, so I could say that's a conservative number. A lot of folks think exporting is just for the big companies, which you've got to be a Coca-Cola or somebody large to export. Well, 61% of the companies that the Georgia Department of Economic Development works with, 61% have less than 20 employees. Right? An additional 27% have between 20 and 100 employees. So that's about 88% of what we do is 100 employees or less. We're not limited to the larger companies, but we do find that the smaller companies are the ones that are asking for assistance. Last week, new export statistics came out at the state level, right? The national ones are a little bit faster to get than at the state level. Now Georgia ranks in the top 25% of all the states across the nation in terms of dollar value of exports. So we ranked 12th last year from 13th. Another interesting fact is that exporting creates twice as many jobs as domestic trade. For every job that is created making the product, another job is created in getting the product to market, either through freight forwarders, lawyers, bankers, etc. Surprising, another fact that people usually ask, and I'm sorry, I usually have time to do this interactive, but I'm going to try to keep you guys on time. But Georgia's #1 export market probably isn't a surprise to too many of you, and that's Canada. But what you may be very surprised at is who our #2 export market is. China. China is our #2 export market. It's the largest market for imports, but it's our #2 export market as well. Among the nation, Georgia is the #1 exporter in the nation of wood pulp, of textile floor coverings, carpet, not too much of a surprise, and minerals and ore, which would be our kaolin. We're the #2 exporting state of paper and paperboard, #3 in vegetable products, #4 in carton, yarn, and fabrics, as well as the export of meat. I can keep going. So let me tell you a little bit about how we go about helping companies export. Our international trades team has a staff of 8, and we help companies by providing them with information know-how, with in-country contacts, and with international opportunities. Some of the ways that we do that is through the state's 10 international offices. How many of you knew that the state of Georgia had offices overseas? Most of you. Let me quickly run through the countries where they are. In the Americas, it's Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and Chile. In the European Union for us is based out of Germany. But we also have an office in the UK that is responsible for Ireland. We have an office in Israel. And in Asia, we have offices in Japan, Korea, and China. So how do we help companies? We have 2 broad services. One is what we call Global Insight. And those are services that are designed to provide companies with knowledge about exporting. This is the how-tos to exporting. It's industry-specific information. It's country-specific information. We do that through research, education, in-country assessments of products from our offices, and through partner resources. So that's the first service, Global Insight. The second thing we do is Global Connections. Those are a variety of programs and services that are designed to match Georgia suppliers with international buyers or representatives. That would be services such as participating in trade shows. Some of them are domestic that have incoming buyer delegations internationally. Some of them are overseas. Trade missions, like Alberto just talked about. We have incoming buying delegations that come in that are not associated with trade shows. We do in-country matching from our offices where they will do customized matches based on companies. And we disseminate a trade opportunities alert that talks about international opportunities that our international offices have identified in our countries. You can get a list of our upcoming events on the web at www.georgia.org. But I am going to quickly just run through a list of a sample of some of the stuff that we have coming up in the next 6 months. And I'm going to do this very fast, but you can ask me afterwards some of the other. We're taking a group of companies next month in March down to Monterrey, Mexico for Expo Manufactura. which is an advanced manufacturing trade show, and that one is sold out. We have a booth at the Georgia World Congress Center in March for the HIMSS Healthcare Information Management Systems Trade Show. We have an office in Korea, and they are going to be representing for us American companies, or in our case, Georgia companies, looking for opportunities in Korea through a catalog show. We've got a very short deadline with that. That's coming up in March. Our Israel office is going to be in town in March. Just this morning, we filled up on all of his appointments that we have coming in, but we are having a lunch and learn, so if you're interested in opportunities in that, I'll be glad to give you information. We have a program coming up with Canada that's going to be in Biloxi, Mississippi, that will be on advanced manufacturing, energy, and geospatial technologies. That has matchmaking opportunities with companies from the southeastern U.S. and from 6 Canadian provinces that will all be in Biloxi, Mississippi. Our Canadian office will be in town following that conference in April, and she'll be available for appointments. We're just now getting ready to start that list. Going to the Bio Convention in Chicago and having a booth there. Back to Chile. Go back to Chile in April with a mining trade show. Now you may think Georgia mining, if you have technology that is used in the mining industry, this would be a great opportunity for you. So don't think of mining as just mining, think of it as things used in that particular industry. Companies going down for Trade Winds Brazil. We've got a catalog show, medical show in Israel, in Tel Aviv coming up called Annalisa. Taking a trade mission to Toronto in May, a global petroleum show for oil and gas and energy sector in June. Again, don't think of it as just oil and gas, but technology or products that can be used in that particular industry. We did that show last year, 2 years ago, when it was held, and we sold out of space in 4 weeks, and the companies were just really pleased with the results. A lot of these shows that we do will supplement appointments from our offices, will supplement appointments for companies going down. So that's a very short summary of some of the stuff that we have coming up. If you will indulge me for a minute, I thought I would read a quote from a company that I got, and I'm sorry, it's a little bit long for me to memorize, so that's why I got my reading glasses on. Let me read that, I'll end with that. But this was an unsolicited quote we received from our company. It said, "Our satisfaction has been larger than we thought possible. Since we started working with the Georgia's Economic Development Office, we have secured export sales, established sales to Georgia companies, and had our website analyzed, which will undoubtedly create new sales from improved visibility, traffic, and conversation. In addition, we gained access to other Georgia suppliers, which allows us to grow without tying up cash and inventory and warehousing. More recently, we have utilized market research studies for South America, Mexico, and Canada, and identified a resource to conduct a feasibility study for selling into renewable energy markets in Canada. This study alone saved us more than $2,000 in 3 days that we could dedicate to growing our business. We had earned as well as saved tens of thousands of dollars. I feel certain the services will help us generate more than $1 million in new sales over the next 12 to 18 months." Now, what was really surprising about that quote? It came from a company with 9 employees. Right? So they've got somebody that's dedicated working on their international sales, and now they're very excited about it. So that makes our job so much easier, because then they become mentors for us, and another person that helps carry on the torch. So with that, let me end. And again, thank you for inviting me to speak.